Hello and welcome back. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be back with you guys. I had no idea on the camera thing that it was gonna go the way it did. But I am really happy to be back with you, and I am excited to keep going on our little boho weaving. So as you'll see, most of you probably remember that watched the last video, and oh my gosh, the numbers watching the video are amazing me because I usually don't do that good. So thank you. And welcome to, I have some new subscribers. Welcome to you. And welcome back everyone. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. So today we're going to keep going on this little thing. But first, if you remember, I had originally used red as my warp threads and I didn't like it. So while I was being very frustrated with the camera, I took that out and I made this a little smaller, and I redid all the fringe and then just put some stitches up here to lock it in. And so we should be good to go. So I am going to be using a very large needle with a curved end. You can see that. Because since I do not have the open back on this piece of cardboard, I thought, that this curved needle would work really well for that, and it does. You can just weave right through there. Sorry. I'm also going to leave the weaving. I'm not going to invert the video so that it looks like you're looking over my shoulder. I'm going to leave it like this, where it's going to be upside down to you. I'm going to see how that works, because my hands are big and they're going to be in the way. So I figure if I'm working this way and you're looking at it, which would be upside down, you would get to see more than if, I had the camera over my shoulder or whatever and I was working down here, because my hands are going to be right in the way. So I'm hoping this will work, and I'm really excited to get going on this. I've got several different things that I'm thinking about using. So I'm going to be using some of this really thin yarn, this very old needle punch yarn. I am going to be using some, I want to incorporate some thinner jute twine into the mix, because I think that's going to bring it, really bring that boho, look out. I've got wool roving, which I've got this. Let me take this out of the bag because the glare is going to be terrible. So I've got this really pretty blue. I've got some gray. I've got a different blue. This is more of it kind of looks like it has kind of a teal in it. And then I have just some plain off-white. We're going to be doing what they call the organic tapestry weave, and that is what I wanted for this project anyway. I think it's gonna really give us that boho, bleh. I still can't talk, that boho vibe. And yeah, so before we go to that, I have been practicing, and I'm not real good, but I am going to show you one of my weavings I've done on my full-size loom that's in progress. I'll be right back, and then we'll get started on this little guy. See you in a bit. I wanted to use up a lot of stuff I had around. I wanted to do something very colorful, and I wanted to experiment with a lot of the weaving techniques. I wanted to experiment with different sorts of yarns and textures and that kind of stuff. So this is what I came up with, and I really like it. I'm not really a multicolor person, but this is what I came up with. It did work out. This is some silk ribbon. This is just a really fuzzy yarn. This is wool roving down here and right there. I tried some loops up here in the green. I also tried some really big sumac stitch. I put in some ball fringe I had. I just kind of went crazy with it, and I really ended up liking it in the end. I have not mounted it on a doll yet, and I haven't cut my fringe, but this is my weaving. And like I said, I'm just learning. I've got a long ways to go, but I really had fun doing this because it was using up some things that I've had for a long time. And yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was very therapeutic. It was very relaxing. And it's something I think I'd really like to continue doing in my spare time, if I ever have any. So anyway, that's that. Let's get on to this little one. Okay, we'll get our little guy back here. And I'm going to zoom you back in because it's really going to be hard to see. Probably anyway because my hands are big. But we're going to go for it. So I think what we're going to start doing here is I think we're just going to take some of this really tiny off-white thread. And I suppose I misplaced my needle. There it is. And we're just going to start weaving. And I think I'm going to create a higher side over here than over here to start it. So let's get some thread. Let's get it through this needle. And let's get going. Now the one thing I do have a problem with in the smaller size, and since I do not have the opening in the back, it's very hard to tuck my threads under. Normally you would tuck them under and then you would weave them through the backing so that, you know, they were secure and they didn't show. I, however, am not going to be able to do that, and that is simply because I don't have that hole. And once I start pushing threads through back there, they just become a big jumbled up mess and they start coming back out. So I'm just going to start. I don't remember if I went over or under on this last stitch, and it's very small, so it's very hard to see which way I went. It looks like I went over, so we're going to start out by going under. This is going to be a bit time consuming, and that is simply because it's so small. So I'm just doing a plain basic weave or a tabby weave, and I'm just going over and under all these little things, and I'm just going to pull this through. And it's very easy with a needle with this big of an eye to have your needle come unthreaded, so I'm looking for that to happen a few times. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck this into there so it holds these stitches. Okay, I'm going to put that in. Oops, yeah, I should have cut it down a little a little further on here, and I didn't, so that might cause a problem, but I don't think so in this scale. So I'm going to be building up that curve now over here. So I ended up going under, yes. So I'll be just weaving back over and under and over and under until I get to the point I want to be. And that, I think, we're going to go one more for this first row. Oh my gosh. It is so hard working in such a tiny little space. And I'm going to bring this up and over, make it curve. Those of you familiar with weaving know that if you don't bring it up into that arc, you risk pulling your sides in. I've learned that. See, I'm learning. And then I'm going to go back, and this is very hard to even grab this. So I ended up going under, so I'm going to go back over and under all the way to the end. I'm trying to keep my hands out of your way so you can see what I'm doing. I just need to pull it through. And just push it down so it stays. Okay, and now I think we're over, so we're going to go under. Okay, we're done with that for now. And what I want to try to do, and I don't know how this is going to work at all, but I would like to bring in a small piece of the wool roving. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab onto this, and I'm going to pull, get it apart. It's a good sized piece for that. I'm putting this back so I don't have it all over the place. And then I'm going to make this a little smaller yet. So, I don't know, maybe we could just leave that piece in there. So it's going to be chunky, and that's fine because that's what I want, but I'm afraid it might be too chunky. Maybe we do need to split that in half. Okay. So this is where it's going to get just a bit tricky, I think. So, anyway, we'll start from this side. And I think we're going to start by going over. Okay, this is where the struggle comes in. This is probably where you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing so much. This is why it would be so much easier to have the back of my loom open. It would also be better if I could use a heddle bar in here because that would raise up my warp threads where I want them, and I wouldn't have to be struggling to get this under. But if I did everything the easy way, let's see if I can do that. Let's see if I can find something, even this little dowel, it's going to work like a heddle bar kind of, and then we will be able to get this. So I think I want to go under that last one. Yeah, this would work much better if it was a skewer that had a point on it, because then I could just go under with the point. Okay. Okay, I'm back, and I've started to weave the wool roving through. I'm using this piece of bamboo skewer to lift the warp threads that I want this to go under, because that really helps in small size, and possibly I should have even used a bigger one. I am telling the truth when I say that this is not an easy process getting this roving through here, and I don't know how much you can see, but I am getting it. It's just fiddly. Very fiddly. I don't want to pull the wrong string because I don't want to have to take it back out once I do it. Yes, I'm sure there are easier things in this world to do, but I like a good challenge. It's hard to keep the roving from coming apart while you're trying to thread it through, and I don't think in this case of the roving that the tweezers would be a good idea, because I think it would just pull the roving apart. So once you get a big chunk of it through, then it's pretty easy to thread it through. I'm trying to stay in camera. I realize my fingers are in the way, but it's kind of a delicate little process. But I really want the chunkiness of the roving to be a big part of this weaving. So we're going to keep going. And some of these I'm going to do, just let the video roll and do it with you, because I want you to see the process, and as we progress, when I do something like this again, which I'm sure I will, I'm going to speed it up a bit. So the roving is through the warp threads I want it through, so I'm just going to leave tails, pretty good sized tails in this case, and I'm going to push it down into down next to what I've already woven in, and I want it to come down on this end, so I'm going to need to take my needle, I think. First, what I want to do though is every spot where it's over a warp thread, I want to pull the roving out. So we may have to go a little farther this way, and let's start pulling it up, because I want loops, kind of loops, okay? And yes, I know this doesn't look like, I know what I'm doing. Maybe I should start from this side because it's the longer side and pull it through. No, because that's going to make it too short. Okay, see, and this is why I'm taking you through this process, because it's a struggle. We can take that out. But if it works like I want it, yeah, see, I'm having problems because when I pull one up, then so I'm going to have to hold on and just pull these through like so. Make sure they're all sticking up like I want them. Okay, and then we're going to start, might be a little much. I might have a little too much roving in here. And did I mess up? Oh, did I mess up? Okay, well this one's supposed to be through like so. Yeah, I went the wrong ones. I am not saying this is fun. Well, it's fun, but you know what I'm saying. It's not fun having to undo it, but the nice part of weaving is you can always undo it. I went through one of the wrong warp threads. But you can see my fringe is getting in my way. I do not believe I have an even number of warp threads on here either. So let's just see if we can pick these up with my fingers. That's probably why I wasn't getting very far either with that. So I'm going to end up over this one, or under this one, but I was over the one on the other side. Okay, let's do this again. We're going to, no, now I'm wrong. Okay, I was right. No, I went over 2. Darn it. So I should be under this one, and then over the next one. And my threads are getting really loose too. That's another hazard of doing it this way, is it does tend to loosen your warp threads, which is not what you want. But again, I don't have that opening in the back that I would like. So if I ever do this again, which I probably won't have any reason to. Okay, I do have an even number of warp threads. I just was picking up 2 at a time. So let's go under that. And then we end up over, and this should make things a little better, I hope. I hope, she says. Okay, yeah, my warp threads are just getting this. This one I just have a knot tied in, so I can pull it tighter. And there we go. Okay, we are right now, finally, but my threads are getting very loose. So that in itself may be a little trick to work with. Let's start pulling these threads up again. And I know that you can't really see right now, but I'm just making little bumps and lumps in this, which is what I want to do. Pulling from that side because this tail was longer. And I really didn't leave myself much of a tail, but I think we'll be okay since it's so tiny. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push these little buggers down. See, we have these little loops going there. I don't have much tail left over here, but I think it'll be enough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get another piece of this. I want a longer piece. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. I can always use the smaller piece somewhere in this. And you can even use scraps to do weavings. I've seen talented weavers on YouTube who know what they're doing, use scraps. So now we're going to just weave like normal. We're just going to use that regular plain weaving stitch again. And I'm going to go over the ones that I went under and just go across. And in the perfect world, this is all going to work out. I think I'm off again. I'm off again. Okay, that one's over, that one's under. Over. Under. Oh, no, I'm doing this wrong. My gosh. Okay, pull back up. I need you to come in just a little bit. Okay. So I'm start by going under, over, under, and over. This needle with the curved end really helps with this. this time. Okay, and I need to pull that one back up a little bit, and maybe pull this one up a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to really smash that down and try to follow our curve we have going, so that this is the bad part of all of this. Okay, that one's a little big, so I think we'll pull that one out just a bit. And then we'll pull this one back up. So yeah, the next time if I do more roving with you, which I probably will do because I'm not smart enough to say, hey, you know, this is getting a little crazy because it's so small. And we're just going to squish that down and try to follow our curve. And that'll help. It'll be better when I do go back. I probably should be doing something like a sumac stitch or something on here to hold it in place, but since it's so tiny, I don't think we're going to do that. Okay, and I just want to make sure I'm getting the right warp strings up this time. We may not be able to see the curve really well because the roving is so thick. But we're going to give it a try. Nope, I went under the wrong ones. This is the problem. And I'm sorry to be putting you guys through this. I know it's probably a pain watching me do things wrong. But showing you it's not easy, but it is fun. I'm not getting frustrated, amazingly. I am a person who sometimes gets easily frustrated. Okay, there we go. Now we're right. There. Now we know we're under this last one. So we're going to have to start back by going over. And I want this to be chunky because I think that's going to just really, you know, add to and go with the boho look. So there we should be right this time. I'm just going to push that down, really push that down. I really want that curve to start coming out, and I think you can see that it is. It's curving down. It's very hard in this size. And I'm going to push those down really, really, really good. Okay, I'm going to go back through one more time. And since this is going to be just kind of wavy and loopy, I have no plan in mind for this. I'm just going to kind of let it take on its own. It's just going to be kind of what I think up as I go, because there is no right or wrong or rhyme or reason to this. I mean, as far as making anything symmetrical or the same things, this is just kind of going to be me freehanding, as I guess is a good way to put it, this whole process. So now we have that much done, and we've done, I think, 3 rows now, or 2 rows back and forth, and I think I'm going to go 1 more row just to really make sure that this is locked in and I'm maintaining my curve. So we came out under. We're going to go back to this side. All right, and I think we're going to just leave our stitches there. And again, I'm going to tuck this under this thread I have out here. We'll sort all of those threads out later when we are done. Okay. All right. Oops. And it's catching in my other thread that I had out here. So there we go. We got that much accomplished. We are kind of getting our little, you know, where it's looping down and over, and I'm just pushing this down really hard just to make sure that I get a good stitch, or I get it locked in good. Okay, I think we are ready for the next part, and I think I'm going to, I don't have any real long pieces of this twine. It was some I cut up for another purpose, but I think I'm going to try to weave in a little bit of that on the side, and maybe we'll start curving in a different way, or just curve that side. So let's get this in here. Okay, and we are, I believe, over. Yes. Okay, so we're going to go under. And we'll just put a little bit of this in here. And maybe we'll just go as far as right here. I think we want to go one more. Okay. And we're going to start weaving some of this twine in there, because I really like the tan color of the twine with the blue of the roving. Such a pretty color roving. I bought it for needle felting, which I do, but I haven't done for a while. I've got a half-finished rabbit, and I like to make little gnomes because they're so cute. I gave one to a coworker who retired, I guess it's been a couple weeks ago now, and she just went crazy. They're just little tiny guys. I think I've shown them in a video before. Not 100% sure, but I think so. So I'm going to do 2 here. This. You can't come in. One of my kitties wants in. I don't know which one, but one of them wants in. And they can't come in. Now the thing I'm finding with this jute twine is, since it's stiff, you cannot come in. Okay, I'm going to go one more row like this, and then I'm going to... Okay, with this, it is so thick, so stiff, that it's kind of making this a difficult project. I think I'm going to go ahead and go all the way across with at least one row, and then we'll work this down when I get to the end. Okay, we'll see how this goes, because I know that I should have been gradually making this curve, but this twine is so stiff. So now I'm trying to pull the tail, and I'm pulling the whole weaving, so this probably was not the greatest idea. And the roving's getting in the way, and yeah. I think I'm going to go back a little ways so I can end this. And this one is probably going to end in the middle of my weaving, which I don't really want. But I'm not sure I have enough to go all the way to the other side. We'll see what happens. And I bet I'm off camera. I am. So I've just woven this and went over, which I don't believe is probably the right thing to do, but we're doing it anyway. I just want to be able to pull this last piece through here. And then we're going to go ahead and curve it and push it down. Alright, now we've built up another hill, kind of. Yes, I have a gap there that I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have done it this way, but I did. And we just need to really get this pushed down. And you can see the white or off-white that I warped this with, but that's okay. I'm good with that. I'm fine with it. So that's what we've got so far, and I am going to take a little break because my eyes are not that good. I need different glasses, and I just haven't got there. But we're going to leave it at that for now. I'm going to zoom you in. Hopefully I can get you zoomed in really well so you can see. Let's turn it around so you're looking at it the right way. And then we'll show you we've got the fringe, and then we've got our little kind of curve of the roving. This one needs to come out a little more. There we go. And now we've got our jute twine that we're starting to weave back with. I'm just going to push that down to where it's really nice and firm in there. try to. And after I've had a little more coffee and stuff, we are going to go right back at it and do it again. We'll keep going. So there you are, and I'll be back in a minute. Back, I've had some coffee, and I am now going to start with this blue. It's kind of the same color as my roving, but yet it's a little brighter. So we're going to work a little bit of that in, probably just in a plain weave to start. And I really don't know how complicated I can get with this, but we're going to go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to, against my better judgment, start in the middle to weave this in. And what I'm going to do is, and I would not do this, well, I would do this on a full-size weaving, but also on a full-size weaving, I would leave a long tail to tuck behind. However, since this is so tiny, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to try to hide it with the stitches above, and if that doesn't work, well then, I guess we're just going to cut it off when we're done. I will be gluing probably most of my weft, the parts of the threads I've woven in. I'm going to be gluing them to the back, which I also would not do on a full-size weaving unless something happened that was absolutely necessary to do so. But we're just going to try this because it is so small. I think we might get away with it. So I'm just going to be doing some plain weaving right now. This jute is very stiff, so it's not exactly performing like I would like it to, but I think it's all going to be okay in the end. I think we're going to have a nice weaving when we're done. Let's get our little curve going. Because so far, even in this small size, I'm keeping it pretty straight, which is my edges, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to use the needle to pull that down because that twine just wants to spring back up. See, there's my little tail. I know you probably can't see it, but it's there, and I'll just nip that off when I'm done. I don't think it's going to show. It's very tiny, very fine yarn. And I have knitted with this before, this little yarn on these little, I don't know if they're knitting needles, but they're for knitting, and right now it's working really well to raise my warp thread so I can get this like I like it. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and make our curve and then push that down. And I think we'll do about 4 rows of that. And it's just going to be kind of plain. I'd really like to do something else with it, but I'm not real good at making loops. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that. I'd like to try, for sure. But I just don't know. I don't want this to become a really boring weaving either, but it may end up that way, just due to size. And I think I've gone under one of the wrong threads somewhere. Let's just get going. Okay, let's get that down where it belongs, and then we'll get the rest of this squished down. I missed the very last warp thread. That's where it went wrong. Alright, this is the bad part of this tiny stuff, is it's hard to see. And I know some of you are probably, why don't I get a magnifying glass? Because the way my eyes work, a magnifying glass just gives me an extremely bad headache. So that doesn't work for me. Otherwise, yes, I definitely would. Okay, let's get it right this time. Let's not go the wrong way. Let's get it right. Okay. And I hope I'm still in camera, and I hope the camera is focusing because I've got it zoomed in quite a ways so that I can bring you along here. All right, let's get that poked down. Okay. Now, I would love to try something like maybe a sumac stitch. My fingers are going to be in the way because I don't know if I can. I might be able to do it with the needle. And I'm not real good at this one, so. And it's a simple stitch, so of course I would have a problem with it. Okay, so I'm going to go around 2. I'm going to bring it back over that 1 right there in the end. And then I'm going to go around 2. Yeah, see, I don't know what I just did there, but whatever I did, I probably shouldn't have done it. So let's try it again. I should be able to go up through these 2, like so. And this tiny thread, I don't know if we'll even be able to see it. And then through the next 2. Oops. This is the other problem. Since I can't tuck anything behind, I do catch the things on the sides, which is not in the plan, but it's how it's going. I'll go through these 2. And I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Like I said, I struggle. I'm just learning. I struggle with the big stuff too, so someday I hope I get good enough, because I do enjoy it, that I can just say, yep, this is what I'm going to do, and do it. But at this time, that's not a possibility. So please, just hang in there with me. Man, and I've left myself 2 here, so I've either put some of the wrong warp threads together, or... Did I go 3? No, I went 2. Okay. Let's go, and I'm going to try to go back with it. This could be fun, guys. For one, it's me. And this is very small. And I really am having a problem with this. Okay, so let's bring this stitch down. And in this tiny size, I don't know how much of it you're going to be able to see. I'm sorry, I had my hand in the way there. So let's go around these 2 one more time. So I think I want that thread in the way there. Oh my gosh. I'm probably going to mess this up, so those of you who are weavers out there, scream at me now. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is come back around the other way. So I'll be weaving backwards from what I was doing. In my mind, this is working. In reality, I don't know. That remains to be seen, as my mother would say. Would have said. Oops, let's get under both of them. Okay, my battery died. I'm sorry about that. What I was doing here was attempting to put in a sumac stitch, and I'm going back. I already went over once, and now I'm going back. And I think I did mess something up in the beginning of this stitch, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're just going to keep going. Let's see where that gets us. This probably really isn't even going to show because it's so tiny, and I don't know how much you'll be able to see, but it's what I'm doing. So, okay, I just came up wrong. Oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know why. I said I was going to do this, but I said I was going to do it, so we're doing it. Okay, that'll be the last stitch in that. I'm trying to add texture, but as tiny as this is, it can be very difficult to add the texture you need and have it really show. I'm hoping once I get it off my makeshift cardboard loom here that everything's going to be okay. So I'm just going to go back with a straight weave on the edge of this so I can squish it down. Sorry about my hands being in the way. Just trying to avoid that, but sometimes things are just unavoidable when you're doing something this tiny. Okay, so let's get this all just squished down in there. And there is texture to it. I will show you when I finish this part of the video. I think this is definitely going to go into part 3. Sorry, but sometimes you just can't rush things. Okay, and that's going to be our last row of that, so we can finish on this side. Okay, all right. We've got a little curve going that way again, which is kind of nice. And yeah, so I'm going to bring it up. The sumac stitch is going to be really hard, I think, to see, but as you can see, it is a raised stitch. So we've got all that going on now. This is really relaxing, even though it's very tiny and it just a bit frustrating. Now we should bring in this dark teal. I don't know if I'm liking that. This is almost too close to all the other colors I've been using. I'm going to go see if I can find some more. I've got lots of little packets of roving. I think this is a gray, but I'm not sure. I really kind of want to do just a poofy area. It's a gray. And it's wool roving. I don't know, it might actually be a lavender. I can't tell. This light's not very good. All right, well, I'm going to leave it right here for now, and I'm going to go search through my wool roving. I'm going to attempt to cut this little tail off that I left. And I do apologize for the battery dying, but I need to go charge one too. So I'll be back in a while, and we'll continue. Okay, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I'm going to experiment here, so keep in mind I am only experimenting. I think I would like to tie some knots across my raised warp strings. So I think this one's going to be better to use because it's going to give me a little more room. I'll weave it in. Oh, come on. This would be so much easier if I had a skewer that had a point on it, but I don't have one close. So we're just going to make it work. I hope. I always just hope. It's just really hard getting it under these, even with the... There we go. I should have moved it down. Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was... Okay, so I've got this through. I'm back to the skewer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to tie knots with the twine and arc this back up this way. I may even just go straight, I think. That'll work. Okay, I am not sure how this is going to go, but I'm going to try to tie a knot on each of the warp strings that are raised. And since the twine is stiff, this may not even work. But we are going to try. I'm getting to the point where I can't see what I'm doing really well. After so long, my eyes get really tired. And yeah, but I just came up with this idea while I was having a little bit of coffee. And I think it'll be really neat if it works. If it doesn't work, well, then I'm going to have a mess to take out. Come on, knot. There we go. Actually, it's working pretty good. I'm going to move it down where I want it. And then we're going to do the next one. I have a feeling this is going to be a rather slow and painful process. Just going to raise it a little more to get my thread through. And of course now it wants to go where I don't want it to. I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see, but you will see the end result. Okay, let's pull that through there. And I want to keep my knots going in the same direction. I'm not even sure if this is going to work, but we are definitely going to give it a shot. Okay, everything is getting caught in everything because this is so small, as I've stated before, and I'm just going to come around. And, oh guys, this is getting to where I can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, we're not even on the warp string. No, I didn't go over the string. Oh my. Alright, well this is going to work. It's just got to, because I think it's going to look really cool if it does. So I think we probably just need to pass this through one more time. This is why this is going to go into part 3, because I can only do this for so long. Let's pull this through. Make sure we're going upward with our knot. Sorry about my fingers, but I've got to get in here to be able to tighten this knot or this string and not pull in my other strings at the same time. So we are going to try our best to make this work. I think it's going to be cute. I think it's going to really add some texture and stuff to our little weaving. If I can get this twine, is so hard to use. Probably a very bad idea, but my colors of yarn are very limited at this time. I don't have a lot of different colors. So we have 2 knots. So far so good. Let's pull it down tight if we can. Okay, let's just keep going. Okay, so hopefully this is recording. This is what I've got with the knots. The knot got pulled over a little tight. I fastened that tail down because it was in the way and it was sticking straight up. So we just need to get our warp threads back in line. This, whoops, that is the knotting that I've got going. And I'm going to leave it here because I can't even see what I'm doing anymore and I'm starting to get a headache. So we're going to leave it here. And we'll come back in part 3 and we will finish up the weaving. It's probably going to be about, I think maybe about that high when I'm all done. So I think that'll be fun. And yeah, we're going to leave it right there. So I hope you'll all join me next time for part 3 and the finishing up of our little weaving. We'll take it off the little cardboard loom and we will mount it on a small dowel or maybe a stick. I haven't decided. I think a stick would be better since we're going for the boho thing. And yeah, so let me back it out a little bit. This is what we've got so far. I know it doesn't look like much now, but I guarantee you I think it's going to be really cute when it's done. So alright, I'm going to leave you right there and we will come back with part 3. I think I'm done doing crazy stuff like knotting. And we'll see you then. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a great week.